Black Ops 6 gun leveling.
I took a trip to New Zealand to compare the fastest ways to gain weapon XP in Black Ops 6. And by the end of this video, you'll know which method is the fastest for your playstyle, which is really important because there are more than 30 weapons to level up. And right now, I found something that is pretty mind-blowing, and it seems like the leveling system might be kind of broken. Now you have two choices to level your guns, zombies or multiplayer. Let's talk about multiplayer first. Now the conventional wisdom is you want to play objective-based modes like kill confirmed, domination, or hardpoint because you can level up your guns by getting kills and also by completing objectives. This can be really helpful for guns that aren't the meta because you can still gain good weapon XP without having to worry about killing sweaty players. But when I loaded up multiplayer on Black Ops 6, I found something bizarre that I didn't expect. I queued into kill confirmed because I was playing solo and I didn't have a pre-made squad to play more team-based game modes like hardpoint or domination. But as I was playing, I noticed that my guns were leveling up pretty slowly. So I decided to test something. How much do objectives really matter? And what I found out was not what I expected. So here's how my test went. I loaded into a game of kill confirmed with a gun that had no weapon XP, and I got as many confirms and denies as possible without getting any kills. I played the entire game and I was interested to see how much weapon XP I would actually get. And drum roll please. I got exactly no weapon XP.
Wow.
But why?
So to test this further, I went into another kill confirmed game and I got one kill and I backed out. I then looked at my weapon progression and this told me exactly how much gun XP one kill is worth in this game. Now a quick note here, Call of Duty doesn't actually give us numbers for weapon XP. The best we can do is look at these bar graphs and kind of guess how much XP we are getting. Okay.
That's weird because prior to, like, if you did domination, hardpoint, kill confirmed, like, you actually got XP on your gun when you were going for objectives.
Okay, so moving on. The next part of my test was I loaded into another game of kill confirmed and I got exactly one kill and then I got 11 confirms and 3 denies and then I backed out of the game before it ended. Now if we compare my weapon progression before this game started and after I backed out, what do you notice? Well, the graph basically doubled in size. Now, this would make sense if I had just gotten one more kill and then backed out like before, but I also got all of those confirms and denies. Shouldn't this progress bar have gotten bigger?
Yes.
Now, what makes this even weirder is I had set up my class so that I was using the strategist perks in each slot, which gave me the strategist specialty, and according to the game, this gives you a bonus for playing the objective. So at this point, I was starting to think, does playing the objective even matter? But then I wondered, does backing out of the game affect my weapon XP? Well, for the next test, I loaded into another game of kill confirmed, and I got exactly one kill once again, and then I got as many confirms and denies as possible. Now, this ended up being a bit more difficult than the previous games because my team was getting slammed and everyone was backing out. So I actually went 1 in 23 and completely tanked my KD stats for Black Ops 6, but in the name of science, it was worth it. So coming back to the test, for this game, I had one kill, 14 confirms, 13 denies, and I stayed in the game until the very end. And if we compare my weapon XP at the beginning of the game to the end of this game, we can see that it increased by this amount. Now, if you remember from the previous test, we know that one kill is worth about this much XP, so if we do a little bit of overlaying here, we can see that staying to the end of the game gave us more weapon XP. Now, I'm not sure if this additional XP came from an endgame bonus by just staying in the game, or if it came from all of those kill confirms and denies. And what this tells me is that playing for kills is way more important when you're trying to level your gun versus playing the objective, which is kind of...
And it plays into a part that if you're only trying to go for a camo, then I guess it doesn't really matter because you'll level your gun anyway at some point. But if you're trying to level your gun max, then I guess this plays a big part into it.
Sad, because you would think the game would want to reward people who are trying to go for the win. Now, I'm sure some of you might be thinking, well, maybe you aren't getting more gun XP because your teams keep losing. Well, I thought about that too, and I went into a different objective mode called Domination, where the goal is to control 3 areas on the map, and I helped my team secure several of these locations, and we got the win, but because I didn't get any kills, I got no weapon XP.
Wow.
Once again, pretty weird. So with all this information, I decided to put this to the ultimate test, and I wanted to see that when I was playing normally, would it be faster to level guns in objective-based game modes, or would it be faster to level them in team deathmatch where it's all about the kills? So for this test, I went into team deathmatch and I used a brand new assault rifle called the Ames, and I played 2 games. Now, the first game was pretty rough, and in classic COD fashion, several teammates left the game, but I was able to still go well into the positives, and I led my team with 30 kills and 18 deaths, but we did lose the game. And the second game wasn't a whole lot better, better, and my stats were pretty similar. I got 29 kills and 19 deaths, but my team lost that game too. Gotta love skill-based matchmaking. Well, the total time for these two matches took about 15 minutes and 30 seconds, and I leveled the aims up about 6 3/4 levels. Now in comparison, I took a brand new marksman rifle and I played 2 games of kill confirmed. In the first game, I got 21 kills and 16 deaths, and we lost the game. And in the second one, I got 32 kills and 17 deaths, and we won the game. Now, unfortunately, I did forget to take a screenshot of the number of kill confirms and denies that I got, but I watched back through the footage and I counted approximately 47 confirms and 10 denies. And these two games took about 18 minutes. Now, if we compare the total numbers, I spent 15 minutes and 30 seconds playing team deathmatch, I had 2 losses, and I got a total of 59 kills, and my gun went up 6 3/4 levels. And then in kill confirmed, I spent 18 minutes playing, I had 1 loss and 1 win, I got a total of 53 kills, 47 confirms, and 10 denies, and my gun went up 6 1/4 levels. Yeah, despite playing in objective mode, I leveled up faster in team deathmatch.
Weird.
Now to be clear, the amount of gun XP per level can be different on each gun, but this to me seems to be a very clear indicator that
Hold on.
kills are by far the most important thing to worry about when leveling your gun.
Okay, so I guess with Black Ops 6, kills matter more over objective based when leveling up. But again, it used to be that thing of, like I said, like what, 2-3 minutes ago, it was always that if you played objective based games, if you got as many kill confirms, played the objective on domination or hardpoint, you'd always level up your gun faster. People were trying to use decoys recently. People are using sentry guns to even do it, but so what's the issue?
From my testing, the objective just isn't that important, even when you're using strategists, which is supposed to give you bonus points when you're playing the objective. It just doesn't really make sense. So when you're playing multiplayer, my advice is to simply pick whichever mode you think you can get the most amount of kills, and don't really worry about playing the objective if your goal is to level your gun as fast as possible. I know this might seem like common sense, but I was honestly surprised because I always thought that team deathmatch was the worst way to level your guns, so I usually played objective-based modes. And not to mention, I lost both those team deathmatches, and I still leveled my gun more than when I was playing kill confirmed and I won one of the games. But this begs a question. What do you do when you have to use a non-meta gun that's really hard to get kills with? Or what do you do when you struggle to get kills because your skill-based matchmaking is through the roof? Well, the other way to level up your guns is through zombies. And let's see how this compares to multiplayer. Well, in short, after a lot of testing, once again, I was pretty surprised by what I found, and I think in some cases, leveling your guns in zombies might be faster than multiplayer. Now, there are 2 zombies modes to choose from, Liberty Falls and Terminus, and the question is, which one should you play? Well, let's first look at Liberty Falls. This is a round-based zombie mode where you can choose a starting weapon, and with each progressing round, more and more zombies spawn in, giving you more opportunities to get kills and level your gun. But with each round, the zombies gain more health, and they vary in enemy type, so getting more kills can be difficult. So what I wanted to do was test how leveling my guns in Liberty Falls compared to Team Deathmatch. So what I did is I gave myself 15 minutes and 30 seconds, just like the TDM tests, and I took a gun with no weapon XP and I played some zombies. Now to be clear, I'm not a zombies expert, so I wasn't sure exactly what to expect going into a zombies based mode, but with an assault rifle, the rounds were pretty easy to do, and in 15 minutes and 30 seconds, I was able to reach round 12, and I was able to reach almost level 5 on my weapon. Now this wasn't quite as good as Team Deathmatch, but for a low stress mode where I didn't need to sweat, not too bad. But here's where things got interesting. I decided that I wanted to try using a non-meta gun that I would have a lot of trouble leveling up in multiplayer, a pistol. And I also wanted to change up my strategy. So for this next test, instead of just staying near the point where you spawn in, I did a speed run to the nearest pack-a-punch, and I decided to play for as many rounds as I could before I died. And here's the data from that test. In 38 minutes and 14 seconds, I leveled a brand new pistol to level 10. This is about 1 level every 4 minutes. Now I made it through to round 22, but at that point, the rounds started to get very long and tedious, so I decided to call it quits. But I was still gaining weapon XP all the way through level 22. And what's interesting about this data is that it took about 5 minutes to level up my gun through levels 1 and 2, but once I pack-a-punched my gun in round 9, I was reaching the next level of my gun in 3 to 4 minutes, all the way up to level 10. And this is kind of crazy because typically your gun levels faster at the lower levels. Now, one thing that's also important to point out is that I was gaining level XP all the way through round 22. This is important to point out because in other Call of Duties, there have been cutoff points where your gun basically stops leveling after so many zombie kills. Now, there may be a cutoff for this game mode too, but honestly, at this high of a round, the game started to get more difficult, and it's basically easier to just back out of this point and start back over. Because I tested it, and it took me just about a minute to back out of one zombies match and then queue into another one. Now, it's hard to directly compare this test to the team deathmatch because comparing a pretty good AR to a pistol doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
True.
But what this test tells me is that for far less stress and for using non-meta guns,
zombies.
you can level up pretty quickly in zombies. Because keep in mind, I was not using double weapon XP for this test. And if you want to follow what
Sidebar conversation, they haven't released hold on.
I did, it's this. You can
They haven't released too many double XP stuff this time around. And the double XP didn't transfer from Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 into Black Ops 6 for some reason. So for me personally, I've got like a little over 200 total double XP tokens that I can't even use in Black Ops 6, and sucks.
complete the first 2 rounds of zombies in the spawn area. Next, unlock the energy gate below the motel and go inside the arcade and bowling area. If you need ammo at this point, there's a place to buy it here. Then kill the zombies like normal, and by the middle of round 4, you should be able to open the next set of doors that leads to the church where you can pack a punch your gun. At this point, you want to just start hoarding essence because you'll need 2250 to open the dimensional membrane to the church, and then you'll need another 5000 to pack a punch your gun. So for the next few rounds, it's basically all about saving for that and using the ammo cache outside the church when you need it, or the ammo cache back down on the street near the bus. These rounds aren't really that difficult, so you don't need that much of a strategy. Just keep an eye on your minimap so you know if zombies are behind you. And if you do get into trouble, I did find that finessing the zombies and avoiding damage is much easier on the street below the church versus staying up top near the entrance. Now by round 9, hopefully you have enough essence to open the church and pack a punch your gun, and the game gets pretty easy for the next couple of rounds. You'll start to see some armored zombies and some manglers, but with a pack a punch gun, they're easy to take care of.
So why
just
is
be
a
careful of the
pack-a-punch
cars outside the
easier
church
to level
because they
up
do
than-
blow up if you shoot them, and you
than
can take a
not?
lot of
What?
damage. Now during this time, once again, you should be
That's such a
saving up
weird thing.
and just buying ammo when you need it, because what you're saving up for is to pack a punch your gun for a second time, which is 15,000 essence. Now I was able to do this by round 15, and around this time is when the game starts to get more difficult. So I started to use a strategy where I would basically just run around the top of the church with my gun holstered at the start of each round. And I would just finesse the zombies and try to allow as many to spawn as possible. Because for every round, there's a set number of zombies that are going to spawn in. And once they're actually in the map, it's much easier to control them and not have them surround you where you might potentially die. So once I had plenty of them chasing me up top at the church,
And he
I
starts
would then
killing
get them
for
to
it.
follow me
Nice,
down the
okay.
stairs where they'd be easy to kill. Now, once again, I'm not a zombies expert, but once I pack a punch my gun for the second time, these abomination things started to spawn in and they shoot energy at you. And they're kind of annoying, but they're not that bad to deal with. I would recommend just focusing on the zombies at first and then deal with these abomination
Yeah, deal
things
with that
near the
thing
end of each
after.
round. And that's pretty much the strategy that took me to round 23. Like I mentioned earlier, the rounds start to take a very long time and they also get much more difficult. So if you're finding yourself having trouble, I wouldn't be afraid to back out and start back over, because like I mentioned earlier, it takes just about a minute to quit out of one zombies game and then queue into another. Now, after testing all this, I did go and test on the Terminus map as well.
Same
And what
thing.
I found was that this map is quite a bit bigger and more complicated, so the rounds tend to last longer. But specifically, the pack-a-punch machine is located underground, and there's a bunch of narrow walkways that make it really hard to finesse the zombies down here in this area. So in my opinion, I would stick to Liberty Falls for leveling guns because it's a lot easier. So to level your guns quickly, if you're playing multiplayer, I would just focus on getting kills and not worry about the objective.
Yep.
And if you're playing zombies, I would use the strategy that I just described. And hopefully you'll have your guns leveled in no time.
And it's strange because you think that getting the objectives in multiplayer would be the one thing helping you level up your gun, but if it isn't, why did they change that this time around? I was gonna say Black Ops 6, but it's not them specifically. It's the creators behind it, which would be Treyarch, Ravensoft, and so on. So why would they change that? So why would something doesn't add up with this, huh? I mean, let me know your thoughts in the down below and tell me which way you found easier to level up your gun. Because at this point, I'm just trying to grind out the camo. It's not even worried about leveling up the gun, because it levels up when it levels up, and I finish it when I finish it. But let me know your thoughts, and yeah, we'll just see what happens, right?